Hi there, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. I'm really excited to have you guys here. And I'm excited because what we're talking about, as you know, and as you've signed up for, is self-awareness for success. What I'm going to do is start with a quick fun fact to kind of get us all in the same kind of mindset. And the fun fact is that according to Forbes magazine, only 15% of the world are actually considered or consider themselves self-aware. Now, the reason why this is a fun fact is because just by being here today, which is all about increasing your own understanding of self-awareness and how it's going to get you to where you're going, you are moving closer to being amongst that group of elite individuals. So, not a bad start already for the first minute of the webinar. Anyways, let me introduce myself. My name is Sheba Forbes, and I will be the host for this webinar. And it's a privilege to be here with you. What I'm going to do now, though, is turn off the camera. On me, and we're going to just look at the slides that are partnering with the workbook that you have, as well as the content of what is being said now. So I'm turning off the video so that we can all be focused on the slides. Thanks. So as I said, we are going to, we're just going to focus on these slides. Let me share the screen with you. And here we go. Are we good? Okay. So basically, this is all about self-awareness. And I'll start by telling you a little bit about me. As I mentioned, my name is Sheba Forbes. I've been for the past 2 decades an accomplished, trained, and certified executive coach, executive life coach, entrepreneur, and basically I've been a success catalyst for my clients. Now, my flagship client, just to give you a little bit of credibility for me and the things that we're going to be focusing on, was one of the most powerful multinationals in the world named Suncor Energy. And I worked with 5 of their executives there. And it was, a pretty exciting opportunity. But I'm not telling you that for that reason. One of the clients that I worked with was the COO, and his mandate for our work together was that I make him the CEO of that multinational. Well, I delivered. He was awarded that position, and he went from making $500,000 a year to $12 million a year. The only reason I'm sharing that story with you is to let you know that I deliver. It's the same process, it's the same program. I'm the same coach that enabled this for my client and other clients like that. He's just the kind of cat's meow of all the clients' accomplishments. So I want you to just know that you're in safe hands, and we're going to focus on how you can kind of achieve more of the results and success that you're looking for in your own life. So basically, you may not be wanting to be the CEO of a multinational, but you are the CEO of you. So let's just make sure that you play to your strengths and set yourself up for maximum success. So basically, self-awareness breeds results because it gives people a competitive advantage that makes them more successful. And I'm focusing my process now on women specifically because for whatever reasons, we may not be so great at playing as big of a role in our own lives as we could otherwise do. So since we know that only 15% of the world are self-aware enough to use their knowledge to realize big results, let's just use the next 40 minutes that we've got together to kind of show you how you can plant some of those seeds now yourself and get yourself moving in that direction. This is your time, and its time is to focus on you. I'm going to ask you to minimize your distractions so that you can focus on what we're covering. As you can see, I talk fast. It's not my intention to go too fast. And at the same time, we only have a limited amount of time together. And so I want to give you as much as can be useful for you. You've got the workbooks, so that's great. And you have absolutely opportunity to reach out to me. My contact information is in your workbooks if you have any questions or want any more explanation. And that's free of charge. It's just, professional responsibility. If I'm introducing you to some concepts that might be new, I want to make sure that I help you understand how to really make those concepts work to your advantage or to nail them better yourself. Basically, self-aware people understand that it all comes down to who they are. You know, a lot of us ask that question, what does even mean to be self-aware? So to be self-aware simply means to understand who you are from the inside out. So we're talking about things like personality, values, and vision. And that's really where we're going to start. The more we focus on increasing our awareness in these three areas, the more empowered we are. Awareness is always the starting point of any success. And you know that to be true. If you think of any objective you try to achieve in your life, you have to start with an awareness of what it is you're trying to do and what's going to be required to do that. So self-awareness is no different. It's about understanding what makes you tick, what drives you, and what your possibilities in life are. Sometimes we're just too close to the forest of our own lives that it's hard to see the trees and the possibilities that are just absolutely within us and within us in order to help us be successful. So the first, scientifically established fact that I want to share with you is that people are predictable. We're predictable. You're predictable, and I'm predictable. But that isn't to negate how amazing and unique we are. It's simply to help you understand why self-awareness is enabling and directive, because you're predictable. So the more you understand your own predictability and hardwiring, the more likely you're going to play to your strengths, the more likely you're going to set yourself up to be successful. So please understand that you have a consistent, success-oriented style. Very few people take the time to understand and learn what their consistent style is. And it's really easy. There's no need to not examine that or explore that more. So really take the time to understand your style. Know it, because when you do, there will be little that can hold you back in life. I mean, how exciting is that? All you have to do is unpack what you bring to this table of life. And once you do, girlfriend, I'm telling you, you are unstoppable. You will realize your potential. Nothing will be able to deny you what you are focused and committed to. And otherwise, all it is potential. Just stays as untapped potential. Because unless you know what you've been blessed with, how will you achieve great results? And how will you know what your success triggers are? And as a result, you probably won't realize your potential, but that's a missed opportunity. This kind of thoughtful sophistication is what self-awareness is all about. So I'm going to now kind of interchangeably go between those two concepts, two terms, self-awareness and thoughtfully sophisticated. They mean the same thing. Thoughtfully sophisticated has more cachet and really does speak to the sexiness of self-awareness, because you're thoughtfully sophisticated when you're self-aware. And when you're a thoughtfully sophisticated woman, my gosh, what could the world deny you? So basically, let's get started on the easiest, most direct, critical path to be more thoughtfully sophisticated: your personality. Personality matters because it's your default autopilot. It's kind of what dictates, not kind of, it is what dictates how we each process, operate, experience life, and feel. Now, many of us have lived complicated lives and probably cringe at the thought of being predictable, but it isn't a reflection of character. It's a function of behavioral science. Behavioral science has said, there is some kind of order that's kind of been imparted upon all of us. And that order is to help us be able to achieve and be successful, because otherwise every day is like a different version of Groundhog Day. You wake up really having no idea of who to be and how to realize your success. And that's absolutely not true. Life is way more fair than that. God is a good God. So our personality traits, though, going back to the predictability of things, they never change unless we're in a drug-induced state, or we've experienced a life-altering event, or had a spiritual awakening. Otherwise, science says that our traits are fixed after the age of maturity, which is about 18, I'd say. The sooner in life you get a grasp of your operating system, the more effectively you'll realize your best results, because you'll learn to compensate. You'll learn which behaviors kind of help mitigate against some of your blind spots, because you're perfect as you are. So you have every opportunity to have more control over your own existence than what you may realize now. So basically, we each have two specific personality traits that are unique to us, not the traits themselves, but that are two unique traits for each of us. That when we consistently and effectively lead with them, we feel most alive and we achieve our best results. The more you understand what those two traits are for you, the more satisfaction you have in life and the more success you will also realize. Now, we can't control the people, places, or things out there. We know that, that's for sure. But we can control how we'll respond to what life throws at us. Excuse me. Your two strongest traits may differ from my two strongest traits, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you know, so that you can set yourself up for joy and success on your terms. Now, understand your unique personality is the gateway to your success. So it's not really kind of an optional thing. And it's not a question of if, it's a matter of when. When will you take the time to understand yourself enough so that you can consistently be successful? There isn't always will be a direct correlation between the quality of your life and your thoughtful sophistication. Too many of us think we don't need to focus on understanding our unique design, and we kind of tend to take our cues from life, except we each have different unique cues that truly inspire us to achieve. But if we're trying to kind of make ourselves respond in the same way as other people might respond to those cues, we're not setting ourselves up for success. We're setting ourselves up actually for mediocrity, and you're way too good for mediocrity. Now, unless you understand yourself, though, and the cues that your essence needs to excel, you won't. And it just makes satisfaction too much of a hit or miss process when your odds can be easily way better than that. Besides, if you don't understand your success triggers and personality, how can anybody else understand you? So you deserve to be and feel understood, and you deserve to set yourself up to succeed. You've got everything it takes. You just have to get things organized. And you'll be more successful. There's no way around it. Self-awareness, thoughtful sophistication is a process and a journey. And it's a path we all must travel in order to realize our purpose. Now, we intuitively know that self-awareness and thoughtful sophistication matters, but yet too many of us women play small rather than operate from a position of strength. And it doesn't have to be that way at all. Ladies, get clear on who you really are, your potential. Know and understand what you have to work with. Realize the success you were created to have. Whether that means you make more money, you be more fulfilled, you claim your throne as the queen you are. It really doesn't matter what your objective is. Just know that there's so much more ahead of you than what you've already realized. Now, once you understand your personality, your values, which is the next concept that we'll discuss in this webinar, they begin to make sense. And your values need to make sense, and you want to have a better understanding of them, because they're the keys to your castle. And once you get inside that castle, you're going to find your third concept that we're covering in this webinar, which is vision. And that's where your vision awaits you. Now, we all get visions, not just some of us. And self-awareness and thoughtful sophistication makes our visions easier to recognize, because they really are just an extension of your personality and your values. But when you don't understand your personality and your values, it kind of makes it too easy to dismiss the visions, because they might be like way too big. But that's exactly what that means that that's what your personality and values are meant to help you achieve a huge, big, successful life. So absolutely, there's nothing worth ignoring. It's all part of your brilliant design. Now, if you aren't aware of your vision yet, that's okay. Trust me, it's there. You just have to make an effort to understand your personality and your values, because those are what fuel your vision. You are sitting on a pot of gold. You have so much more inside of you than you ever knew. You've been designed and created to succeed. So tap into your sizzle as a queen. Remember, a self-aware woman is a sexy woman who embraces her essence. So know your personality. I'm going to introduce you to the 7 personality traits that drive high performance and guide you to identify your 2 strongest success triggers. We're going to talk about values, and values are powerful. They're your success enablers. And all successful people, consciously or unconsciously, lead with them. The more you understand your personality and your values, the more certain will be your success. We're going to conclude the webinar by focusing on the concept of vision. The bottom line is that self-awareness is your map forward to success. Follow your unique path and map, and you cannot fail. It is a guarantee. Because, as I've already stated, everything flows from who you are. So the more you understand, or the better you understand who you are, you have the ability to walk on water. Now, let's start with owning your power, okay? So that's really about just the fact that behavioral science has established that there are 7 personality traits that determine high performance and power, which is sexiness in life. And we all have these 7 traits. Not you know, you don't say, oh no, I don't have any of that sexiness. Absolutely not. We all have these 7 traits. But they manifest differently for each of us. Now, you already know that because each of us has a different personality, right? We have a different style and we have a different way to approach life. That's a function of our personalities. It's a function of nature, it's a function of nurture, but it's your personality traits, which are a function of both, that dictate how you think. It's not about what you think that matters, it's about how you process and respond to everything that comes up in your life. So think about how cool that is. With that means that your actions, your personality, and your values are part of your hardwiring, and therefore how you think, how you respond, and how you process is perfect for you. That's all you got to do. You just got to be perfectly you. You don't have to be anybody else. You don't have to try what works for somebody else, just like they can't try what works for you. All you have to do is take the time to understand yourself. With this kind of thoughtful sophistication, I'm telling you, you're on fire. Amazing things will happen. Roads paths will clear for you. You will be introduced to opportunities and possibilities that you never really realized were available for you. So it's wonderful. Ask yourself how intentionally you are right now being perfectly you. It's absolutely possible. And all you have to do to have better results in your life is to understand that you have everything you will ever need to be your best self. Now, you may not see that though. Chances are you don't. Most of us don't. Remember the fun fact, only 15% of the world even identify themselves as being thoughtfully sophisticated and self-aware. But it's doable. And that's why we're having this webinar. And this is why I do what I do. I just want more women around the tables of the boardroom with, it's just, there's too much power amongst women that's going untapped. And there's absolutely a way to change that. So if you don't believe that you're perfect, that just means you got to look harder. And you've got to seek the objectivity that reinforces that, because you are perfect. You have been perfectly hardwired to be the person that you are. And it's not an impossible journey for you to make. And that's what we're going to get to in this webinar. So just stay with me here. So the logic is that the more you be the person that you were born to be, everything is better. So learn how to work with your design and avoid tolerating too many missed opportunities in your life. Your time is now. And I'm not saying that those opportunities may not come around, but why take those odds? I say nail the opportunities in front of you now, and then later on, nail new and bigger, better opportunities for yourself. That's how it works, right? Life is about evolution. Your destiny is abundance. It's opulence. It's joy. You have everything it takes to be more successful now. So why wait? Now reframe your sense of self. This webinar is to introduce you to the concepts that form your power so that you can adopt a clearer sense of your brilliance and approach this new decade of your life with maybe a little bit more intentionality and purpose than you otherwise would have. Now, again, not to really kind of beat that horse dead with the same point, but it's a very important to understand that you become who you are. Thoughtful sophistication and this kind of self-awareness is how you can become who you are. A queen who's meant to be in control and command of her own life. You're a queen who's able to live in opulence, to be loved, and to be respected as a person of influence, because you make the world a better place just by being fully present. Yes, you. It's your birthright. And until you let yourself believe that, it's possible that you play small and miss out on the abundance God has planned for you. Don't do that. It's yours. It's been saved for you. Claim it. You were designed to thrive, not just survive. And all you need to do is believe you can thrive. So I'll say it again. You've already have everything you need to claim your throne as the queen you are. So now it's time for you to understand who you are better so you can get to that throne sooner. The only way you can go wrong is by not being true to who you are. 2020 is here, ladies. This is your chance to influence your future. It's too easy otherwise for us women to play small. Why? I played small till about the age of 30. It's only then that I became aware of my potential through an easy first step that took me 15 minutes. But I can tell you that those 15 minutes were the best 15 minutes of my life. It was my game changer in every way imaginable. And my life is now focused on introducing others to the same powerful process. I can't tell you enough what it has the potential to do for you. Now, I don't know what your profile is going to tell you, but I can probably assure you that it'll probably give you more credible, scientific, tangible insight with the psychometric than anything that you've done so far. It may affirm what you already know, or it may pleasantly surprise you, or reframe things in a way to excite you about your potential. That's exactly what it did for me. Now, as you already know, that for the past 2 decades, I've been focused on delivering high performance results with my executive clients around the world. Now, my new awareness also led me to do other things that I doubt I ever would have had I not known my profile. For example, I stepped up to be on the Prime Minister of Canada's task force on women entrepreneurs. I found the courage within myself to be a delegate on 2 government-sponsored trade summits. I've been featured, profiled, and quoted in regional, national, and international media, and was even on the cover of a business magazine. I got recognized, nominated as one of the top 40 under 40 in Canada for my business success, results, and vision. I believe that if you increase your awareness and develop your personal potential, which absolutely takes effort and time, but if you do that, if you're willing to do that, you too will tap into your God-given potential and fill the huge space that you were created to fill in this world. So let's get started. We're going to focus for the next little while on the contents of the workbook. Each of you has a workbook with exercises that we're going to walk through in this webinar. Now, our time together is short, but it is long enough for you to get more curious about your potential. Now, if you don't have your workbook, email us, and we'll send you one. And of course, you can listen to this webinar again later and work through it in your workbook if you'd like to. Basically, 2020 is your decade for opportunity. And this year is your chance to set the tone for the next 9 years, for the next decade, for this decade. You have that control. It's possible. And lucky you, today's your day. People never reach their limits. They only think they do. And that's on page 5 of your workbook. Never forget that. Print it out and stick it on your bathroom mirror. In the workbook, I mentioned a client of Map Forward to make the concepts easier to understand, and I've renamed her Betty for this webinar. Now, before Betty took the time to better understand her personality, she didn't give much thought as to how she did things. She lacked awareness of her potential, which isn't, that unusual. But once she realized her potential was limitless, she began to focus on her personality and her values. See, the personality is a function of nature and nurture, as I've said, but the values are available to all of us, any of us, to enable us to be and have anything we choose to be and have. We just have to understand how to make them work for us and how our personality can make it work for us, because, you know, we are who we are. So in your workbook on page 7, you see the 7 traits established by science for high performance. Now, on the slide is a copy of the graph, and this is what my clients receive. It's a comprehensive objective overview of their personality. So these are the 7 traits laid out, and when they see their personalities in this visual kind of way on the graph, it becomes much easier to understand strengths and blind spots and almost to strategize around them. And it becomes so much easier to confidently assert for what you want. You begin immediately to increase your self-awareness, your thoughtful sophistication, and, you know, you kind of be more intentional about it. Now, each of us, as I said, has all of these 7 traits, and they play out differently in each of us, which explains why an approach that works for you may not work for me, and vice versa. It depends on how we've been hardwired to be. I can't be you, and if I do what works for you, expecting and hoping that it's going to work for me and give me the same results that you achieve with it, well, I may be very disappointed that it doesn't play out for me like it played out for you. So my best, use of my time and effort is to focus on how to achieve those same results, but as the person I am, as the person you are. Get it? See, we all have our own unique natural sets of behaviors and motivators. We didn't ask to have it. And, you know, sometimes they even may feel inconvenient. That was certainly true for Megan. She always felt like she was too intense, and I can relate to that. And you know, sometimes people value our intensity, sometimes they don't. But she would often try to dampen her style because she found that it was just too much for others, except when she took the time to learn and understand her personality in this objective kind of way. She decided to embrace her essence and stop holding back. She didn't ask to be the way that she was, and if it was designed, if the universe, if God had wanted her to be less intense, then he wouldn't have given her the intensity of her personality. But in actual fact, the intensity of her personality combined with her results orientation, well, that's actually the ingredients of a change maker in this world. So when we can understand the beauty of our personality, we realize that, wow, we've got bigger opportunities ahead of us, that the universe has a really valid need and use for us. So, but we have to take the time to understand that more. And that's what she did when she increased her situational awareness and began limiting her time with the people and things that didn't appreciate her intensity. But she didn't stop being herself. She stopped being frustrated with herself, though, and that right away inevitably increased her effectiveness. And she became more conscious about who and what and when and where and how she engaged. And that's what thoughtful sophistication and self-awareness can do for you. The more you understand your personality and identity, the more you'll understand your purpose and your destiny. The other option is to guess or bluff your way through each day and not consider your personal excellence. So you see the graph, and you see in the middle of the page, there's a 0 with the word average underneath it. That's the central line of all our personalities. And there's a left side and there's a right side. The personality traits are identified and measured just in the same way as the left or on the right. And depending on which side it's on, there are implications. So take note in your workbook as to which of the following style most describes you. I'm going to explain each trait and some of its behaviors, okay? So we want you to get some value out of this webinar. It is an interesting FYI as well, absolutely, but why not just leave it as interesting and make it a value add for you. So let's really try to identify your 2 top behavioral personality traits. So the 7 traits, you see the first 4, they're blocked off, and then the bottom 3 there. The first 4 are blocked off because these 4 traits are what's called your core competencies. They're the ones that most matter because they're the ones that dictate your results, your style, and your approach. The last three are still relevant, but they're secondary traits. So what I invite you to do is to give thought, increase your conscious awareness of your personality. So I'm going to give you some short descriptors. Which is the one that most and best describes you? Remember, thoughtful sophistication is a process. Today, my intention is to give you something concrete that you can think about after the webinar and a framework that you can consider yourself with. So we've start with assertiveness. Now, are you someone who you notice likes to focus primarily on asserting for consensus and harmony? Or are you someone who tends to assert for results and enjoys risk-taking? Is it a must-have, or is it just something that you do? So identify, is assertiveness, whether it's for harmony or for results, is that a strong part of your personality and your nature? Whatever your answer is, it's perfect. Just inviting you to make note of it. The next trait is sociability. Now, are you most interested and focused on information, data, and numbers, and prefer to work alone? Or are you someone who's more focused on people-related activities? Doesn't matter which one it is. It's just, is that something that's a really strong part of you, your need to be focused on information and data and work alone, excuse me? Or are you somebody who really likes to have that people contact and you need that in your day-to-day? Whatever your answer is, it's perfect. We just, giving you something to kind of have a little more informed self-awareness on. Pace, which is our next trait, is about the speed of your processing. Are you someone who likes to focus with a sense of urgency? Or are you someone who likes to be methodical and process-oriented? Or does it really matter to you one way or the other? If it doesn't really matter, it's not a strong trait for you. Whatever your answer is, it's perfect. I'm just inviting you to make note of it. Detail orientation. Are you someone who likes to focus on and pay attention to detail? Or are you someone who likes to think big? Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just, is this something that you really want to have present in your days? Do you want to know that there's going to be details for you to embrace? Or do you want to, do you enjoy the idea of blue skying? Does that kind of motivate you to see what possibilities are ahead? Now, these are the 4 core personality traits that enable success. And the traits you pick may be the traits that if you focused on more, could help you achieve even more success in your life. So I'm going to quickly explain the other 3 traits you see on the graph so you can impress others with your exclusive understanding of personalities. After today's webinar, be aware that you will know more than the average person out there regarding personalities and self-awareness and thoughtful sophistication. And, I really encourage you to not stop after this. But the next 3 secondary traits, I'll start with behavioral adaptability, which is about our ability to fake our behaviors. Then we have emotiveness, we either process from our head or from our heart. And then we have creativity, which is self-explanatory. Now, these 3 traits are secondary traits. They're relevant, but they're not what stir the pot. They influence how the recipe will turn out, but unless you understand how much of a role they have in your effectiveness, it's not unusual to see people kind of give a lot of their power to those to their emotiveness, and especially for people who tend to be more of heart processors, that really skews the results of everything. And even if someone is a very highly results-oriented person, if they also tend to be a very sensitive individual, they may not honor their ability to achieve and drive for results as much as they could have. And their life may not be as great as it could be. And it's really only about just kind of increasing your awareness. And maybe that would elicit different kinds of behaviors and strategies than are currently being used. So these 7 traits, as well as our education, experience, skills, and IQ, are the variables that shape the person we are and dictate how we perform. Remember, it's never about good or bad, it just is. And that's why it's understanding and being more thoughtfully sophisticated and self-aware is so powerful for success and fulfillment. So now in the workbook on page 8 and 9, you have questions that you can work through on your own, but I want to help you know how to. So based on the descriptors that I've given you of each personality trait, and focusing only on the first 4 traits highlighted, please, ask yourself which of the top 4 above traits net you your best results. Now, if it's your caring nature or your boldness, then assertiveness would be. Doesn't matter which one it is, if it's to be caring or bold, assertiveness is one of your strongest traits. If it's your relationship skills or your expertise with information, then sociability is one of your strongest traits. If it's your high energy or your methodical nature, pace would be one of your strongest traits. And if it's your attention to detail or to the bigger picture, then detail orientation would be one of your strongest traits. The other questions you can answer in the same way on your own time. And if you have any questions, you can schedule a quick chat with me to better understand and know how to answer your questions. Or you can just sign up for a 4-week course and get your own personality profile to kind of help you know where you're at, what you've got to work with, and how you can better strategize, and get some instruction on how to be a more empowered version of you. So basically, some of the benefits of self-awareness are also listed in your workbook. And, I invite you to circle the areas that you want to focus more on developing for yourself in order to advance and then to the next level in your life. What kind of plan will you put in place for your transformation? The point is that people never reach their limits. They only think they do. And it's all about your mindset. If you believe you can be an even better version of yourself, then you're going to set yourself up to ready to claim your throne. As the queen you are, you've got a whole new decade in front of you now. You'll never be the person where you're at with the hunger and the vision that you have now. Again, make this decade work for you. So let's look at the second concept I promised for this webinar, which is values. Now, Betty, she, well, you see in the workbook, I don't want to take up your time that. Things started to change for her when she learned about her values, though. And she was surprised to learn about the influence values have in success. But the reality is what she learned is that when we engage our values, our results and relationships are all better. It seems far-fetched, I know, to think that quality transformation is possible just by incorporating personal values, which are really just your key feelings. But I'm telling you, that's how it works. And the only reason it seems so crazy and hard to believe is because we weren't brought up to focus on our personal values. Generally speaking, the emphasis was on embracing the values of those around us and what society wanted or what other people wanted for us. When a person is thoughtfully sophisticated and self-aware, they're empowered and they walk to their own beat. Without, this kind of thoughtful sophistication, most people tend to do things like others do, even though what works for them may not work for us, because it's just behaviors that are not supported by our personality and values, but they are supported by theirs. Basically, we need to do what works best for us. Don't spend your life trying to make someone else's approach work for you. You deserve better than that. You are better than that. Focus your time and energy on making your style work for you. And those who make the effort to understand their values are amongst the most successful and happy in life. There's no way around the fact that self-awareness is a process. It's just like learning how to read, work, drive, love, and live. They're all processes that once we understand, we do better. And unless you learn what and how to be your best, you won't be. It's all just going to be guesswork. But we're just like our smartphones. The more we understand the features of the phone, the better it works for us. So seize this moment in time. Live your best life now. Realize your potential. It's so easy, and that's what Map Forward is all about and committed to. You are meant to thrive, not just survive. And we need to be shown how to do this. And as I said, it was my game changer in life. And I can't even imagine what my life would be like if I hadn't done the process. And anyways, so, or you don't have to thrive. You can just torture yourself knowing that you have visions and hopes and dreams and potential that may just stay dormant inside of you. But why would you do that? Who benefits? you already have everything you need to be successful. You just have to do your part. Find the power within. Become who you were meant to be. You're so much more than your education, your upbringing, your parents, or your looks. Make more effort to understand your potential so that none of your greatness is left untapped. These kind of psychometric assessments, like you saw the graph with the 7 traits, are sophisticated and exclusive. They're not available to the average person. In fact, they're only a business-to-business offering. I'm not 100% sure why. You know, well, I do understand because it requires understanding, but it's such a great opportunity. If just imagine if more people knew. But what I've come to learn, having worked with hundreds of engineers, is that there's too many left-handed people living their lives as though they were right-handed. And it's just not necessary. We thrive when we play to the way that we were meant to be. So basically, because of my 2 decades of working with this psychometric developer, I have access and ability to leverage my relationship within our government registered not-for-profit and offer this profile, the psychometric, to anyone interested in having more thought, to anyone interested in being more thoughtfully sophisticated and wants to have a profile of their personality. It's an inspiring perspective that gives hope and shapes vision for the excellent, exciting adventure that all of our lives are meant to be. Now, your values are most useful when you know them, because then you can be intentional about applying them. And, you know, when when Betty incorporated her values, her success triggers, the more engaged and successful she was. And it can be that way for you too. So being okay, so you have the values you do so that they can guide you, help you thrive and realize your potential, because you have to be open to trusting and understanding them for any of those values to be useful for you. And remember, I am available for your questions. So schedule a free 50 minutes conversation with me if you want to understand any of these concepts better, because I do recognize that we're going fast. But that's why you have the workbook, and you have the opportunity to listen to this webinar again if you so choose. And of course, you have the opportunity to sign up for a 4-week course. Now we're going to just kind of keep moving in the interest of time for the last concept that we're going to discuss in this webinar, and that's vision. Basically, if you feel limited by your personality, it's time to reframe your perception of it, because you've been designed with everything you need to succeed. And with a somewhat solid sense of yourself, you're more inclined to focus on the vision you have for yourself and for your life. Now, Betty never really considered having a vision for her life or what she wanted. And I'm not saying that's ever obvious or simple. I'm just telling you that without this kind of thoughtful sophistication and self-awareness, it's too easy to lose faith in yourself and give up on any potential visions that you may have had. But don't give up. You can do anything. Increase your self-awareness so you can believe in yourself. And ask yourself, do you have a vision for your life for this next decade? Now, you have questions in your workbook to help you identify goals and or develop a vision. But just remember, people never reach their limits. They only think they do. So think bigger. Because unless you know yourself and understand your personality, how can you play a bigger game in your life and truly feel confident about your choices or take risks that move you forward? Now, page 15 of your workbook is to come up with some transformation goals that you can set for yourself. And the more you know and understand your personality, the more confident you can feel about your choices and the risks that you're willing to take. Now, too many women play small, but self-awareness and, sophisticated understanding is really always the answer. Create transformation in your life by using your self-awareness as a strength-based strategy. You have everything it takes to have all that you desire. Now, my intention for you today was to really advance, inform, and educate you on the powers of thoughtful sophistication and self-awareness, and give you some tips on how you can immediately be more thoughtfully sophisticated. Be and feel empowered by the beauty and magnificence of you. And in this short time together, you've allowed the seeds of possibility and potential to be planted. Now it's up for you to water them, to germinate those seeds. Your personality, values, and your vision for your life are just waiting to be kind of released. Tap into your potential, unleash your potential. And you see some personal reflection, introspection questions to consider on your own time. And like I said, I'm just an email or a call away. So I hope that the power of self-awareness and thoughtful sophistication is abundantly clear to you. Bottom line is this: you have way more control than you realize. Now, if you'd like to receive a copy of your own personality profile and learn how to better manage and direct your personality and values into your life, professionally and personally, sign up for our new, unique, exciting, and exclusive first online course, certificate course of its kind. And today was less than an hour together. And in the 4-week course, we go over you receive a personality, a psychometric of your personality. We talk about how to understand it. We look at goal setting. Everything that we've discussed today, we go into in a much deeper, more detailed explanations. So basically, upon signing up, what you'd be required to do is complete a questionnaire, and then you would receive an exclusive, scientifically validated and reliable psychometric profile of your personality. And this is priced at a government registered not-for-profit pricing. My executive clients paid $5,000 a month for what you're going to be receiving for a fifth of the cost. And if you're ready to achieve transformation in your life, increase your self-awareness and thoughtful sophistication objectively, now's your time. And if you're just curious, I've told you, you can reach out to me. I'm happy and I'm here to serve. So check out the URL for the course landing page for more information, or schedule time to chat with me to learn more. Now, if after module 1 and before receiving your personality profile, you actually decide that this course isn't what you were hoping for, we absolutely offer you a money-back guarantee. But once you've received your profile, the refund can only be for half of the fees paid. And the reason being is because there's a hard cost to the psychometric developer each time we access one of these profiles. You're the queen of you. Discover your potential. Realize your potential. Now, we're going to do some questions. And now it's time for you to ask me your questions and all of that, but I'm going to stop recording it. And yeah, I look forward to, interesting. Looks like I didn't save it. Okay, I'm stopping to share and I'm stop recording. And now questions, please.